Hey guys, Mike the Caveman Q here again, Paleo Palm Long Island, MikeTheCaveman.com, and going live today talking all about the gut microbiome. What that means, microbiome, little world. So, small world that lives inside your gut. Now, I always talk about the importance of your gut, and today we're really going to break down why that is the case. Why is it important to focus on your gut? So, any and all questions you have gut related, particularly the bacteria, fungi, and other little microbes that live inside there, let's get it going. So, I'll wait for you guys to put some questions up. Hey, Susanna. Hey, Joe. Welcome in, guys. I'm glad you guys made it. So, any and all gut questions, because I realize that, I talk about it all the time, but I never really did a breakdown of that, the concept itself of just the gut microbiome as its own dedicated topic. So, let's get going. So, while I'm waiting for some questions to start popping up, let's just, give a brief overview of what it is we're talking about. So, right now, in your body, there are about 1 trillion U cells. Conversely, there are about 10 trillion bacterial cells. So, those cells outnumber you 10 to 1. Now, those numbers are a little bit thrown off. They're not exact numbers. However, it's our best estimate for right now. And they have a role in practically everything that's going on in your body right now. Hey, Ozzy, what's up? How you doing? Like I said, just hoping to get some questions, so get it going. Everybody always wants to know what's going on digestive, going on with their gut, so I figured use this opportunity to really jump on. What, everybody's shy today? All the other times, everybody wanted to jump in with the questions. Wait for some questions for today. But we'll go on a little more. I'll just go on hey, Ozzy, what's going on? So, going on that a little more then, I guess. Essentially, what we're talking about is, again, how those bacteria in your gut control everything from your immune system to your brain, your mood, your cognitive ability, how much inflammation you have, how you absorb nutrients, stress, hormones, so thyroid and reproductive hormones. They control pretty much everything. Without them, we have major problems. So if you have an infection, if you were able, if something actually broke through and caused you to get sick, you go and take a course of antibiotics. The problem is that you're going to go and actually destroy those native bacteria. And unfortunately, more often than not, they don't always come back. So that's how we're looking at, okay. Let's finish that thought and I'll answer Joe's question here. So that's how we're looking at long-term damage. Antibiotics can cause long-term damage because they're changing the flora, the composition of the bacteria, the types of bacteria that are in your gut. Okay, what damage occurs to your gut based on what you are ingesting? What part of it is most heavily or most often affected? The stomach, small intestine, large intestine, etc. So, yeah, let's start there. Or is there any one part that is most critical to ensure it stays healthy? It's a great question. So, if we're talking about our digestive tract, our gastrointestinal tract, starts in mouth, goes down the esophagus, goes to our stomach, which then goes to our small intestine, goes to our large intestine. And within the large intestine is your colon. That is the part where we want to see, and we're supposed to see, most of our microbiome. That's where most of the bacteria are supposed to live, okay? So, we start to see problems when they overgrow and then start to crowd back, particularly when it goes into the small intestine. So a lot of times people talk about acid reflux and they get burning in their esophagus all the way up here. That's actually a problem all the way at the back end, generally. And what's happening is the bacteria that are supposed to be in the colon start to migrate backwards up into the small intestine, generally causing an overgrowth. So they're overgrowing now in the small intestine. They're essentially burping up hydrogen gas, which is causing a leak in the valve of your stomach. Now, a root cause of that, though, is insufficient stomach acid. Now, that can happen for a number of reasons, but actually Tums and other proton pump inhibitors like omeprazole, things like that. So antacids rather. Antacids like Tums or just proton pump inhibitors like omeprazole, Prilosec, that kind of stuff. They can lower your stomach acid. And in the process, that makes you feel better. It's a nice Band-Aid in the short term. But unfortunately, now bacteria that are supposed to be killed by that stomach acid can creep back up into your stomach as well. And so when we see people with ulcers, what's happening is a specific strain of bacteria known as Helicobacter pylori, or H. pylori, is actually eating holes through the mucosal layer of your stomach lining because of insufficient stomach acid. I know it's enough to make your head spin, but essentially, to answer that question, Joe, because we have a number of different things, the most important part to focus on your gut in terms of the bacteria should be your colon. That's where they belong. When we have problems, they start to creep back up. They crawl back up to your small intestine and back up to your stomach. So more often than not, we want to find them in our colon. That's the most important part, which is in your large intestine. All right, we have, is there any one part that's more critical to ensure it stays healthy? That's kind of, I put the two questions together. So like we said, colon, number one, but if we're seeing issues, a lot of times it can be in the small intestine or the stomach. We're looking at insufficient stomach acid or bacterial overgrowth in the small intestine. So both are super important. Okay, Susanna, if there is damage to your gut, do you think that could cause you to have mood swings? Absolutely. So I've talked before about the concept of your gut being your second brain. You know, there's the old idiom of, I have a gut feeling. That's not inherently wrong. Your gut produces more neurotransmitters than your brain does. Serotonin, more than your brain. So, super important to make sure your gut is in line. And part of the problem we're looking at is that besides sending signals back and forth through the vagus nerve, what also can happen is that those bacteria play a role on your HPA axis, okay? That's the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenals. Your adrenals help control your stress hormones, your cortisol, your adrenaline, noradrenaline, or norepinephrine, epinephrine for the those of you across the pond. And essentially what's going on is those chemicals, they are part of our fight or flight system. Bacteria in your gut help control that. So if you have pathogenic, the bad type of bacteria, overgrown, it adds stress. A lot of times through the release of LPS, polysaccharides, a whole separate thing we can get into in a little bit. But for now, just understand that excess stress by way of the bad bacteria can throw off your HPA axis, which in turn makes you more stressed. The extra stress throws off the rest of your neurotransmitters in your brain, making you more anxious, making you depressed, all that fun stuff. All right, let's see. Joe, how long a period does it usually take for the overgrowth to take place? When you put in acid to control growth, how fast recovery? So that is an individual situation. I've seen it happen as quickly as a couple of days. I've seen it happen as quickly as a couple of weeks. Sometimes, depending on what kind of damage we're really looking at, how far gone your gut really is, it can actually change how long that recovery is. Before I jump into that, I just want to say, hey, Danny, hey, Maddie, hey, Kim, thanks for jumping on. But yeah, so how long of a recovery period? Just like I tell everybody about everything else, whether it's another health condition, whether it's weight loss, how much damage have you put in? How much have you had to build? How much problems have you done? Because if you spent 8 years or 20 years damaging your body, it's not going to go away in a week every time. Sometimes it might take a little bit longer. Yeah. So in terms of adding the acid back in terms of insufficient stomach acid, good way of doing that, apple cider vinegar. Okay. So some apple cider vinegar, more often than not, very beneficial. Can be a problem if we're looking at histamine issues. We talked about that the other day, about when fermented foods might not be right, because unfortunately, that can also cause acid reflux. But just using the assumption that we're talking about insufficient stomach acid for right now, then apple cider vinegar is a great idea. The enzymes in it will help break things down. It can help to replace the acid in your gut stomach as well. From there, you're going to want to look at natural antimicrobials, things like grapefruit seed extract, things like oil of oregano, things like echinacea, and then other things from there to maloloric acid from coconuts. So those coconut oils can be a great idea. Those will help to bring down those infections. And if we're looking at bacterial viral fungal, it can change up a little bit. But if we have that overgrowth, we're going to look at some dedicated natural antimicrobials, replacing that stomach acid, and then from there actually going and recolonizing your gut. How do you do that? Well, that's when we're looking at things like the spores. So quality probiotics, spore-based probiotics, actually going to make it through to your colon. So if we're looking at a low stomach acid, some of those non-spore-based probiotics may actually make it through because the stomach acid isn't going to kill it on the way in. We're still looking at a little bit of heat issues and the transport, but assuming that, assuming they actually alive, yeah, that's when things like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium in yogurts and just regular refrigerated probiotics can be beneficial because your stomach acid is already pretty low. So as it gets raised back up and we're able to bring it back to normal, that's when you're definitely going to need a quality probiotic that's going to go all the way to your colon where it belongs. Now, other things. So let's say we have inflammation, particularly in the stomach, the esophagus. Things like DGL, deglycerinated licorice, will actually help to repair the mucosal layer of your gut. In order to repair the epithelial layer, the actual layer below that, that's where we're looking at things like bone broth and gelatin. So the glycine, the protein, the collagen will help repair the lining of your gut. So there's three main things we need to focus on in terms of the lining itself. There's the epithelial layer, there's the mucosal layer, and there's the bacteria. All three work together. Without those being there, you're going to have issues. without those three being together, hey Mary Kay, how you doing? Without those three together, you're going to have issues. So you need all three of them to be intact in order to have a healthy gut. So bone broth gelatin to help repair the epithelial lining, deglycerinated licorice to help repair the mucosal lining, and a quality probiotic like Megaspore to go through and actually recolonize your gut, recolonize the colon particularly, and what that's going to do, three of those together should help to repair the lining, help stop things from getting through. Are there actual tests? I'm really assuming you mean tests, Susanna, to see if you have gut damage. And yes, there are. So, yes, on the spores, Kim. So, in terms of tests to tell if you have gut damage, yes. So, through Rebel Health Tribe, we offer an IPA, intestinal permeability test. And what it's doing is it's measuring through 5 different sugars that normally shouldn't get through. They shouldn't show up in your urine because they should be broken down either by bacteria or they should just be passed out. Or rather, they should show up. Wow, it's clear. They shouldn't show up in your urine because they should be broken down. Or the other ones, if they aren't showing up, it means they're getting into your bloodstream. Not supposed to happen. So those sugars, what they do is we test to see how they're going, compare them to the other sugars, and using that test, you can determine intestinal permeability. Other ones, you can look at immunoglobulins, so IgG and IgE antibodies. That can help to tell. That's looking more on the allergy and autoimmune end. You test those that if you have intestinal permeability going on, what's going to happen is those bacteria are getting through or proteins are getting through and they're getting into your bloodstream. They're getting recognized by your innate immune system, which is in turn producing antibodies to attack it. So part of your immune system, one of the biggest things, your innate immune system, what you're trying to do is you see something, you say, I don't like that thing, we're not letting it in again. So you produce antibodies, say, if we see that thing again, don't let it in. It's almost like a bacterial version of racial profiling, right? Like, don't like that thing. So anything that even remotely looks like that thing is now going to get attacked. And that's kind of like the autoimmune condition. If we didn't let it in the first place, if we built a wall, our gastrointestinal wall, if that stayed intact, it wouldn't have got in the first place. So we wouldn't have had a problem. We wouldn't have been afraid of that. So those IgE and IgG antibodies, what those are going to test is if we built a sensitization to those particular bacteria through translocation or those particular proteins. Okay. Joe, if you repair your gut, is it possible for damage in your thyroid or other organs controlling hormone release to cause the body's different systems to work against you so to be fully repaired? Yes. That comes with a caveat. Depending on how far gone we are in terms of damage on certain organs, it's a lot tougher to repair. Again, years and years and years of damage, longer term repair. Is it possible? Yes. Is it easy? No. So, more important than anything else, repair the gut. That way, you don't have more damage being done. Like I always talk about regarding firefighters versus policemen. Is it better to call the policeman to stop the arsonist? Or is it better to just keep putting out the fires? Yeah, in the meantime, you want to call the firefighters to put out those fires. But long term, you want the cops to catch the guy that keeps doing it. So, rather than just say, well, we're going to keep letting damage occur to my thyroid, damage occur to my adrenals, damage occur to my reproductive organs, damage occur, etc., etc. It's better to address the gut to stop future damage from occurring. So make sure you're taking care of your microbiome, that little world inside there. That way there's less downstream effects. All right. What else we got? What's up, Sandro? And we'll go about another 10 minutes. So like half an hour seems like a fair number. Unless we got no more questions, in which case then we can go like 5 more minutes. So, Joe and Susanna are killing it on the questions. Anybody else got any good questions? Hop on in, and I'll be happy to throw something out. What's in my drink? My drink is water and lime, rather. So I have my nice mason jar with some lime in it. All right, what else we got? Bueller. You're gonna ask the same thing. So everything that we had to talk about, we're gonna talk about what's in my drink. Hey, Angelo, thanks for joining us. Waiting for some more questions. If you have one, throw it out there. Be great. I covered a little bit about why lime and not lemon. Is lime better than lemon? I had limes from the holidays, so that was basically it. So just preference. So we covered a little bit about acid reflux, talked about what's the most important area of the gastrointestinal tract to focus on, talked a little bit about things we can do to help rectify that. Wondering if lime gives benefit, if you chose just had it. So let's get back to the focus on hand. So talk a little bit about ways of healing the 3 main linings of the gastrointestinal tract. So healing epithelial, mucosal, and the bacterial lining. We talked a little bit about, again, the acid reflux, talked a little bit about intestinal overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth in the small intestines. A lot of different topics there. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Julian. What's up, brother? Yeah, so just waiting for a couple more questions. Going to stay on for a couple more minutes. Okay. Do antioxidants help in healing the gut? Yes. So essentially, certain bacteria can actually use antibiotics as a fuel. Other ones are used to help repair. So antioxidants have an excellent role. So essentially, you may have heard the concept of free radicals, okay? A free radical is an oxygen that goes around and scavenges, or rather, goes around and causes damage. The reason being is that, think like iron. You leave iron out, it gets wet, and it turns into rust, right? It has the oxygen, and it has the water, and it turns into rust. So that's an oxidation. Well, essentially, in your body, all the time, free radicals in the form of reactive oxygen species are able to run around, and they can go and they can cause damage. Antioxidants, what their job is to do, more often than not, is to find those free radicals and to actually scavenge them, bring them back in. So they react with the free radical and they disallow them from causing more damage. Now, in a weird turn of events, some antioxidants actually act as pro-oxidants, they cause oxidative stress, because just like inflammation we talked about before, inflammation isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's chronic inflammation that's a bad thing. So same thing with free radical damage. Free radicals are actually part of your innate immune response as well. Just like inflammation, just like cholesterol we talked about last week. These are all things that your body does to protect itself. The problem comes in is when it's over long periods of time. So you don't need reactive oxygen species, free radicals running around your body at all times. But if you have an infection, then yeah, superoxide and peroxide are both great things inside your body to destroy those pathogens. Because just as they can cause damage to our tissue, they can cause damage to the bad bacteria, the bad virus, the bad fungi. So they can help as part of your healing process. We had to make sure maybe missing something. Nope, nothing too magical. All the fruits and everything you put into your water jar, it's all good stuff. So, yeah, so that's a little bit right there about antioxidants. They can act as both a fuel and they can act as to help bring down inflammation and damage and stress in the body. All right, what else we got? All right, we have when your fingers swell up and you're a little bloating. Let's say after you eat some bad foods, is it because of inflammation? Yes, more often than not, what we're talking about in that case, we're talking about damage to the gut, and then proteins getting through. It's causing inflammation in the process. Yes. Is the endocannabinoid system part of your gut? Is that completely separate? So your gut lining has a lot of CB2 receptors. So the CB refers to cannabinoid, and endo means inside. So there's CB1 receptors, CB2 receptors. CB1 are predominantly in your brain. THC, which is the part that people use to get happy and go for enjoyment, recreational purposes of the cannabis plant, those are predominantly in your brain. So, THC affects the CB1 receptors. CB2, on the other hand, a lot of them are in your gut. So, that's partly how CBD oil can help regulate your gut, because it doesn't actually affect CB2. It doesn't affect CB1 either. It actually helps to regulate them. It's almost like it changes the conformation, changes the shape of that lock, so other things can get in there better. So it helps to regulate it. So is it part of the gut? Yes. Is it part of the gut in the sense of your immune system and everything? Yes. It's those receptors. They have a major role in regulating how your gut functions. Why do legumes damage the gut? So depends on what we're talking about. More often than not, it's improperly prepared legumes, and in that case, we're looking at things like lectins, saponins, sometimes tannins. Excuse me. We're also looking at things like raffinose, which is a sugar, and all of them are poorly digested. And what happens is, if we already have leaky gut going on, if we have intestinal permeability, what happens is they can actually get through and then cause that immune reaction we were talking about before. So if those proteins, those sugars get into your bloodstream, your body can start to attack it. It can start to say, you don't belong in here. And that either causes an allergic or food sensitization, a food sensitivity response, or long-term, if it misrecognizes something else, it can start to attack your own tissue if that molecule resembles something in your body. Is there any way you can have a deficiency or damage to that system that actually makes you crave marijuana? Is that even possible? That's a great question in the sense of damage to the endocannabinoid system that makes you crave. It's tough to say. I don't think that the addictive process of marijuana, because there really isn't one, would be related to... I don't think that... Let's be clear. I don't believe that damage to that system would cause you to crave marijuana. It might cause different mood alteration. It might cause anxiety. It might have a role in depression and other mood and cognitive issues. It's not going to go and make you crave marijuana, though. Let's be clear on that. If you have an issue with that, it's generally going to result in other issues. So if you have problems with your CB system, the endocannabinoid system, it's generally going to cause mood issues, not necessarily a craving for cannabinoids. How long does it usually take to heal your gut? Like if I took the spores, how do I know if my gut is healed? In my poops? And yes, that is a major way of knowing how your gut's doing. So other ways of telling how your gut's doing, your skin, your brain. Because we've talked about the gut-skin axis, we've talked about the gut-brain axis, we've talked about colors and all those things, colors and shapes and sizes and consistencies of poop, and all of those are indicative of how well you're digesting things. Digestive upset, acid reflux, essentially whatever your symptoms are, however you are presenting. If you start to notice those going away, then yeah, your gut's probably doing a lot better. If you're having issues with, say, hormonal issues, and those start to go away if you've been actively treating your gut, then yeah, that's probably another good sign there too. If we're looking at anxiety, depression, other cognitive issues, that's probably a good sign as well. So all those things, if we do that, then we're looking at improvements generally. Now, there are tests, there are markers you can look for. The IPA test we talked about before from Rebel Health Tribe, or just IgE, IgG, antibody tests, you can do those as well. How long does it take to regulate the gut flora? So, kind of like we talked about before, it's one of those where you can see some immediate results within a couple of days. I've seen in a couple of weeks. In terms of actual healing, full long-term therapeutic healing, that can take a little bit longer. That's where things get a little bit squirrely. How much damage did you accrue? If I took a knife and cut my wrist one time, depending on how deep I went, probably gonna be all right. I cut it again. I cut it again. I cut it again. If I only do it one time, it's not that big of a deal, generally. If I cut it 1,000 times, probably gonna die. So, same concept here. If we've been damaging our gut for a day, you had bad food one day, probably gonna be all right in a day or two. Well, certain things actually cause damage for up to 21 days, but not beyond the point. If, however, we are damaging it day after day after day for years, then yeah, it's going to take a little bit longer. Maybe it takes a couple months. Maybe it takes a year. It really depends on how bad we've done. How much damage have we done? Is there such a thing as too much probiotic? Absolutely. Because even beneficial bacteria can become pathogenic eventually. Regarding too much probiotic in terms of saying, okay, Megaspore, I'm going to take that. The reason why it's a problem, I tell people to titrate up, starting low, like half capsule a day or one capsule, depending on what's going on. If you're really far gone, I'd probably start at half capsule and you titrate up to 2 capsules. The reason being is that when bacteria die, they release that LPS, that lipopolysaccharide I mentioned before. It is an endotoxin. So endo means inside, toxin, toxic, problem, poison. So it releases that. That LPS is sitting in the bacteria's cell. So that lipopolysaccharide gets released when it dies. And if you have too much of that, then what can happen is it goes and it has to go somewhere. So it's going to try and go out the back end. You get some diarrhea. It might come out the front end. Get some vomit. You might have skin issues. So you might have a rash pop up. So if you go on a serious protocol where you're using antimicrobials, you're using a quality probiotic, then yeah, a lot of times we get what's called the Herkimer effect or healing crisis. And that's because the LPS is going out as quickly as possible. That's why we see those same symptoms during a major infection, because your body's saying, got to get it out quick. So, got to do it as quickly as you possibly can. And when we do that in terms of probiotic, that's the problem. If you try and kill it too quick, no good. Is it bad to mix different types of probiotics? For example, if I ran out of Megaspore and took another probiotic until I could get more, could they affect each other? Absolutely not. So, when we're talking about probiotics, we're talking about a number, or rather, when we're talking about the microbiome, the bacteria that are living in your gut right now, there are thousands of different strains, okay? There are trillions of bacteria, but thousands of strains of bacteria there, so different types. So, is it bad to replace and use something else in the interim? Absolutely not. Is it going to be as effective? Probably not. Because, so megaspore, the bacillus spores in there are not generally commensal. So they're not ones that are going to populate and colonize. They don't hang out for the party. They don't stay long term. What they do is they generally help to kill some of the bad ones. Bacitracin, okay? Where's it come from? Bacillus. So bacillus spores, bacitracin. So the antibiotic you put on your skin actually is derived, or at least originally it was, from bacillus spores. Because bacillus strain, those bacteria produce antibiotics. And they go and they can kill the pathogenic ones. They crowd out the bad bacteria, allowing the beneficial bacteria to thrive. That's part of what makes them so amazing. Do digestive enzymes help to heal the gut? Yes, they do. So, a number of different ways they can help with reducing inflammation, they can help with digesting, and more so systemic enzymes. Digestive enzymes are part of that equation, but systemic enzymes can help with bring down inflammation, they can improve circulation, they can break down fibrous tissue, which in turn allows the gut to heal back, because scar tissue builds up in place of normal tissue. By using systemic enzymes, you can break that down, allowing normal tissue to repair. Rock on, caveman. Thanks, Vittori. Thank you, Joe. Is coffee bad for my gut? So, it depends. Generally, no. More often than not, we're talking about on the spores, on the Renza. Yep. If we're talking about coffee, generally we're talking about 1, 2, maybe 3 cups. We're seeing a beneficial effect in terms of the antioxidant load and even the caffeine to an extent. They can be beneficial. However, that comes with the caveat. If you have a histamine intolerance, that's a different equation. We talked about it a little bit the other day in the video on when you shouldn't be eating fermented foods. Coffee, unfortunately, falls in that umbrella of high histamine foods. So in that case, if you're dealing with a histamine intolerance, then no, it probably wouldn't be the best for you. On the converse, if we're just talking about bacterial overgrowth, then no, coffee shouldn't be problematic. So really depends on what we're looking at. What is a histamine? Joe, I'll have to tag you on those videos later. Remind me to do that. Essentially, it is is an amino acid and neurotransmitter. And what it does, if you take like a Benadryl, what's a Benadryl? It's an antihistamine. Histamine, it's a neurotransmitter. It's an inflammatory marker. It's the first line of defense in terms of what shows up to the party. When inflammation occurs, when the inflammatory response begins, histamine is one of the first things to show up to the party. Short term, excellent thing. Just like those free radicals we talked about before. Short term, excellent. Long term, chronically, bad. So, histamine intolerance is when you have bacteria that produce histamines. Because all bacteria, they eat different things and they produce different things. So certain bacteria produce histamines. If you have an overgrowth of histamine-producing bacteria, what can happen is you have excess amounts. And almost like diabetes, insulin resistance, that excess amount of histamine, the enzymes that break that down, histamine N-methyltransferase and diamine oxidase, aren't able to properly break down that histamine, causing a buildup. Mary Kate's on here right now, kind of like her condition. If you're missing the enzyme to break down phenylalanine, you end up PKU. So, similar concept. With the histamine, if we have excess amounts of histamine and inability to break it down fast enough, we have a problem. So, foods that are high in histamines can in turn cause an intolerance. So, hopefully I helped it out there. But, yeah, we went a little longer than I was expecting. 35, I was going for 30 minutes. But any last quick questions? I'll give you like another second or two. Otherwise, everybody that hopped on, I really appreciate you joining me. I love all the support you guys give me. And anybody watching us on the replay, if you have any further questions, particularly gut-related for this one, make sure to leave it in the comments. Otherwise, you know what to do. You know, it'd be great if you could go head on over to Instagram and Twitter and follow me at Mike the Caveman, over on YouTube at Mike the Caveman as well. That's the channel where I do these daily Ask Mike the Caveman segments. Really appreciate it. Subscribe, you can head over to MikeTheCaveman.com and of course, and subscribe over there. Haven't been as active there with all the videos and everything and school, but gonna try and get a little bit more active on writing and stuff. But that being said, guys, love you all, truly appreciate it, and I'll see you tomorrow.